welcome back to the hardware news recap of the week. It's been a crazy couple weeks. So we had the Tariffs video, and then we had the Der Bauer Thermal Grizzly video. It's like 4 hours of stuff between the two of them. But if you haven't seen either, they're interesting, they're fun, different videos for us. The Thermal Grizzly one in particular, though, was interesting because it's just like, I've never personally been to a paste manufacturing factory, so that was new for us. And it was very interesting to see how thermal paste is made. And I did let Roman know that there's probably a demand for scented thermal paste. He said something about liability. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to be talking about NVIDIA's drivers again today. We'll also be going over some of Intel's changes with its new CEO. The changes include the word engineering, but also layoffs. And then further, Samsung discontinuing DDR4 production. It says Logitech has increased its prices. The RX 9070 GRE is launching in China, and the 9060 XT is rumored for launch sometime in late May. So we have all that and more for this week. Let's get into it. Before that, this video is brought to you by Arctic and the Liquid Freezer 3, which we've tested using our standard methodology and found to be one of the most noise-efficient CPU coolers on our charts. The Liquid Freezer 3 includes Ryzen offset mounting to improve AMD performance and uses a thicker radiator to further lower the temperatures. Arctic has priced these competitively for AIOs, and you can learn more at the link in the description below. First, a quick GN announcement. So we're launching a section of the store called Garage Sale, where we're going to list stuff that we bought for review and no longer need. So as a lot of you know, we're buying a huge amount of the products we review these days. So we still get stuff in from manufacturers, mostly video cards, CPU, stuff like that. But we're buying a ton of the pre-builds. The cases were probably like half and half. Coolers we're buying a lot of. And so because of that, as we strive for more independence from the manufacturers to just buy our own stuff to review it with the full customer experience all the way through the pipeline, I don't know what to do with it when I'm done. So that's where you all come in. This is especially true of pre-builts, which we could just sell them parted out or assembled when we're done with them. But basically the plan is when we're done with the products that we bought to review, we really don't normally have a further use for them if staff doesn't want it. So in order to stop perfectly good stuff from just rotting on our shelves while also hopefully helping a few of the viewers occasionally, but also, frankly speaking, just to reclaim some of that cost, bring some of the money back in so we can buy another thing to review that thing too, we're listing them on the store for a heavy discount. So that's kind of the approach here. So when hardware news episodes go live, but not every one, we're going to occasionally update that page with some new stuff. This is not going to be frequent. It's not going to be every episode. I don't know, maybe every couple months or something, I'll put stuff up there. So it's going to be very low volume. We have absolutely no desire in becoming a PC hardware retailer. So we're not going to stock multiples of things. Like whatever I bought for us to test, that's it. So it's probably like single item. And it's something that we use for like a week and evaluated it and don't need anymore. So anyway, that's that's what we're doing. Now we're listing them for cheap. So hopefully someone benefits out there. Frankly, I mean, I know people are going to buy it to resell because the prices should hopefully be pretty good for that. And that's fine. I mean, I'd rather someone who's just an individual user get it so they can use it in their computer or something. But I'm not going to try and control it. Someone wants to scalp it or whatever. It's still better than being on my shelf. So we have no way to control that, just like anybody else. But we're listing them for cheap. Brings in some money to buy more test equipment. So anyway, that stuff's up on store.gamersaccess.net. There's not a lot of it. Just for perspective, we've spent a couple $100,000 over the last several years buying components either to use in reviews or to review. So for example, things like test bench hardware, that's kind of a hidden cost where it sounds like a big number to spend on just review hardware. That's because the stuff we use to review the hardware is also in that. So we've really reduced how much we're asking for free test bench components. So we still do test bench sponsorships, component sponsorships, stuff like that. We really wound it down the last several years though. And so that hardware as well, when we retire a test bench and we're moving to something new, like a newer platform, I'll throw that up on the GN Garage Sale page if we don't have any use for it anymore. Also, just to set the expectations again, these are gonna be like single units. So there's not a lot of them. Sorry, people are gonna be disappointed. Most people won't be able to get stuff, but this is gonna be a thing we're doing regularly. Like I said, at least a couple times a year, hopefully every couple months. And I'll just be ongoing to kind of purge stuff that I just don't want to see it go to waste. And then again, frankly, it just helps us to keep buying stuff to review and kind of further what we're doing here. And this particular thing, I mean, when we sell it, we keep the money because I bought it. So that's how it's going to work. If you like that and you want to get something for cheaper and we get money, then great. If you don't like that, then that's fine. So anyway, that's the deal. All right, up first, a couple quick stories to insert in here because these were developing while we were editing this news episode. So these are fresh. First off, Threadripper. There's some Threadripper rumors out there. So per AMD's website and found via InstLatX64, reported by Video Cards, AMD is officially preparing its next Threadripper CPUs for launch. AMD's technical information portal and Video Cards' disaggregation now lists documents for Gorgon Point, Shimada Peak Pro series workstations, and other upcoming CPUs. Gorgon Point is allegedly a Ryzen 9000G APU, which would follow the prior 8700G and 8600G previously that we reviewed. Shimada Peak includes hints of a Threadripper Pro 9000WX CPU. Via Video Cards, leakers also detailed multiple Ryzen mobile chips listed as FP10 Medusa 1, FP8 Strix Gorgon Point 1, FP8 Kraken 1, Kraken 2, Gorgon Point 2, and Point 3. That's a quote from Video Cards reporting on that leak. Video Cards adds that AMD's supposed Medusa chip represents the company's, quote, Zen 6-based mobile platform, end quote, which will allegedly use an FP10 package as the listing implies. We won't dwell on that one, there's not much more to it right now. So the next one in the rapid recap is GTA 6. It's not here. After revealing back in 2023 that Grand Theft Auto 6 would be coming in 2025, Rockstar Games recently announced that the game will be delayed until 2026. The company took to its blog to write this, quote, "Hi everyone, Grand Theft Auto 6 is now set to release on May 26th, 2026. We are very sorry that this is later than you expected. The interest and excitement surrounding a new Grand Theft Auto has been truly humbling for our entire team. We want to thank you for your support and continued patience as we work to finish the game," end quote. Of course, Corsair isn't going to be happy about this. And if you don't know why, it's because during a prior earnings call, they said the reason sales were down is because GTA 6 wasn't out yet. The last time that Rockstar released a mainline GTA game was back in 2013. That was September 2013, I think, with GTA 5, and then it was 2015 for the PC release later. And if the May 26th release date holds for GTA 6, which they've now set, then that would be a 13-year gap between the two games, and maybe we'll get the PC release in 2028 or something if we're lucky. Now, though, all we have to do is set the betting odds. In the comments, you can resolve it amongst yourselves. Is it going to be GTA 6 or Half-Life 3 first? Go ahead. Let's see what everyone thinks. NVIDIA has released another hotfix for its impressively buggy GPU drivers. The company has been pressing the media for more coverage of MFG and DLSS, and as we showed last time, we'd love to do it if it didn't cause the games to crash and black screens. So we'll get right on that. But NVIDIA has failed to rectify the issues again. There's like 5 hotfixes. They all suck. NVIDIA launched 576.15 with updates on April 28th to the post, claiming resolution of GPU monitoring and temperature sensing issues that it had introduced with its last hotfix. Among claimed resolutions for crashes and clock speed drops caused by 576.02. NVIDIA then launched 576.26 with updates also on April 28th of the post, claiming even more fixes of the things that it broke previously. NVIDIA's page says that the driver is, quote, incredibly complex and that it has, quote, an army of software engineers constantly adding features and fixing bugs. It basically says drivers are hard. And reading that paragraph, it makes you feel so bad for them. I mean, a $1 trillion company having to fix software, we're beyond this. This is what AI is for. I mean, to quote Louis Rossman,
cry me a fucking river.
Anyway, that's it. It's all fixed now. 576.26 fixes it. Quote, every game blacks out in the middle of the game and crashes. What was the bug fix? It's getting worse, end quote. Quote, anyone play Rocket League with a 5000 GPU? I've been having screen tearing, end quote. Quote, I restarted my PC and Windows would not load after posting. All my monitors were black. I uninstalled 576.26 and installed the driver from March. My PC works as usual now, end quote. Quote, stuttering and screen tearing still on my 4070. Quote, event ID 153, quote, 0.15 made my flickering disappear, but gave me a random black screen with 0.26. The flickering is back and worse than ever, end quote. Quote, PC still freezing after touching mouse to wake up monitors.
Everything just works.
So that's it then, problem solved. And we'd like to suggest $1 million dinner with driver developers to actually fix them. Up next, Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan, the new one, has published an article titled, quote, Our Path Forward. And this is in the Intel press release portal. Intel's Lip-Bu Tan replaced the 2 interim CEOs who replaced Pat Gelsinger in late last year, and he's just come in. He has an engineering background. He's got some business background as well, of course, but seems to be more of an engineering type trajectory for his professional career. So the write-up says that Intel's customers, likely B2B, not consumers, see Intel as, quote, too slow, too complex, and too set in our ways, and we need to change, end quote. Now, they're also just not competitive, but this is a part of that. Tan states, quote, we need to get back to our roots and empower our engineers. That's why I elevated our core engineering functions to the executive team. And many of the changes we'll be driving are designed to make engineers more productive by removing burdensome workflows and processes that slow down the pace of innovation, end quote. And in the next paragraph, Tan further notes cost cutting, but seems focused on inefficiencies. Quote, many teams are 8 or more layers deep, which creates unnecessary bureaucracy that slows us down. I've asked the executive team to take a fresh look at their respective orgs with a focus on removing layers, increasing spans of control, and empowering top performers. I've been surprised to learn that in recent years, the most important KPI or key performance indicator for many managers at Intel has been the size of their teams. Going forward, this will not be the case. I'm a big believer in the philosophy that the best leaders get the most done with the fewest people, end quote. That's definitely not a hot take. That is a very agreeable statement. So this aligns with reports that Intel is aiming to lay off more employees, but maybe this time around it'll be less sort of, you gotta lay off, you gotta lay off, you gotta lay off, and more focused on, it sounds like middle management really is what it kind of sounds like it's targeting. So now we hope that in this next round of cost cutting, Tan here recognizes that the CPU team is completely riddled with bureaucracy and inefficiencies, and the GPU team seems to have a very effective startup mentality. They're just behind because they started late. So hopefully they target the right places for improvements and don't just indiscriminately cut teams that are actually kind of building a future for Intel, at least in the consumer space. So anyway, Tan wrote some more and said, quote, we must demonstrate predictable execution and ensure on-time delivery, and we need to deliver consistent returns for our shareholders. There are 2 ways teams can respond at make or break moments like this. They can look at the gap they need to close and give up, or they can look inside themselves and fight like never before. It's like the Rocky inspirational speech, except it's coming from an executive getting paid millions of dollars who just joined the company. But it's a bit odd to go from talking about shareholders and shareholder value to you need to dig deep and look inside yourself and figure out how you specifically f***ed our company up. It is the fault of the people who are working at it. Now, if you're working there, that's either a scary statement to read and you're looking for jobs, or it's encouraging because you feel like you're surrounded by ineffective bureaucracy. So I guess we'll see what comes out the other end of it. But one thing is for certain, which is that the new guy coming in, being paid millions a year, probably doesn't even feel like their real dad.
Papa's here.
You know, it's too soon. It's just kind of sad now. But Pat Gelsinger, we'll miss your Intel memes. Hopefully you pop up somewhere else with more memes. Next one. In recent months, the United States has been pushing for greater investment in the U.S. from fabrication companies in particular, CPU, GPU fabrication, semiconductors. And this includes recent claims of a up to $100 billion investment from TSMC in its properties in the U.S. This news is in addition to existing investments from both Intel and TSMC in fabrication plants in the U.S., including a construction site for one that we visited, that was Intel's. Now, Taiwan has passed a law with tighter controls and regulations on how and how much TSMC invests outside of Taiwan. Taiwan and TSMC will be sticking to a named N-1 rule for nodes, although you can maybe think of it as an N+1 in a sense. The newest cost-cutting edge process nodes will be kept at TSMC's fabrication facilities in Taiwan. Its fabs are located in multiple cities, including Hsinchu, Tainan, Taichung, and then a couple places dotted around the world as well. TSMC also has a plant it's building in the US not far away from Intel's. Now, this is potentially in conflict with the US government's recent push for increased investment in the US for fabrication facilities. It wouldn't stop TSMC from building fabs in the US or countries around the world, but it would restrict how advanced those fabs can be as compared to the Taiwan fabs in mostly Hsinchu and Tainan. We've read native language news reports of the law, and our understanding is that Article 22 retains the right to ban significant external investment if it, quote, affects national security, as translated, or per UDN, as translated, quote, has an adverse impact on economic development, end quote. TSMC is central to semiconductors now. It's central to the gaming industry, but also everything else that uses these high-end chips. And it's become a bargaining chip as a result of that. Everybody wants what TSMC is selling. And for national security purposes, everyone wants their own advanced silicon fabs. TSMC has been referred to as a silicon shield for Taiwan in the past, as Taiwan also has its own interests in mind, of course. Up next, according to Counterpoint Research, global PC shipments have risen this quarter, year over year, to a tune of about 6.7%. That's for quarter 125. The growth is partially attributed to the tariffs causing a push for imports towards the end of last year, arriving in early this year as companies tried to build stock and inventory at the prior import rates. And the research firm wrote, quote, the growth was mainly driven by PC vendors accelerating shipments ahead of US tariffs and increasing adoption of AI-enabled PCs amid the end of Windows 10 support, end quote. In total, Counterpoint Research says that 61.4 million units have been shipped during the quarter. That growth, however, is predicted to fall, with the research company writing, quote, the impact of the U.S. tariffs is expected to dampen the growth momentum in 2025, end quote. With all the current uncertainty, companies likely ordered boatloads of PC shipments with the expectation that costs may rise in the near future. This is something we talked about in our 3-hour-long video about tariffs and the documentary we put together. Apple and Lenovo lead the growth in computer shipments at 17% and 11% year over year. HP and Dell followed suit with 6% and 4% growth. In our own reporting, we've learned that many of the companies of the DIY space have either rerouted shipments to other regions or placed shipments on hold, pending further certainty of the tariffs. This is reflected, of course, in all industries. The Port of Los Angeles this past week, which is the largest in the country for Asia trade, is projecting what its port lead calls a, quote, precipitous drop of 35% in inbound shipments year over year. And related to this, I actually just joined the Full Nerd podcast with the PC World crew to talk about some of this activity in the coverage. So if you want to check that out, that's on YouTube over on their Full Nerd podcast channel, where we have a 2-hour show that Adam, Will, and Elena were hosting from their side, and I joined to talk about it. So if you want more coverage about how tariffs impact the PC industry, you can check out that discussion. All right, up next, according to Digitimes, Samsung is looking to wind down its DDR4 production. Apparently, Samsung is planning to discontinue its DDR4 production by the end of 2025. That's the quote. The Taiwan-based publication Digitimes reported that final orders are due in early June. And Tom's Hardware adds that deliveries for 8 and 16 gigabyte modules are expected by December. Tom's Hardware also notes that Samsung is, quote, making the move to free up manufacturing capacity for more lucrative technologies, including DDR5 and LPDDR5 memory for newer systems, as well as HBM for GPUs and AI systems, end quote. And we're not sure if that came from Digitimes as a quote because it's paywalled, but that's what Tom's printed. Won't get into it too much here, but that was another thing I was thinking about recently with memory manufacturing. Is one of the relatively quick products to put together, and a lot of times they'll air freight it because the spot price of memory, it's like the spot price of gold or something, where it moves around so much that they're trying to get it into the market as fast as possible. So anyway, DDR4 starting to exit production. Up next, Logitech. So a YouTuber, Cameron Doherty Tech, put together actually a pretty cool video tracking the cost of numerous Logitech products, the cost to consumers, the retail price to consumers. And notice that the company has been slowly and quietly incrementing the price on some of its products. So logic would point to the fact that at least partially this is in relation to the tariff situation. And on that note, on April 10th, the company put out a press release withdrawing its 2026 financial outlook due to, quote, the continuing uncertainty of the tariff environment, end quote. Cameron Doherty Tech noticed price increases on Logitech's products on April 14th and began tracking 176 of the company's products. This included keyboards, mice, speakers, headsets, webcams, and more. And then 51.1% of the products that he tracked increased in price with an average increase of $18.28, representing what he says is a 14% change on average. Some notable price increases include the MX Master 3S, which went from $100 to $120, so a 20% bump. The MX Keys S, which went from $110 to $130, the K400 Plus wireless touch keyboard at $28 to $35, and there's more tracking in the video too. Really well put together research on that, and we'll put that in our sources document if you want to check it out. And again, related watching will be the 3-hour Tariffs documentary we put out. Up next, according to Board Channels, which Video Cards is citing as a forum for board partners, the RX 9060 XT is looking to get at least an announcement in mid-May, with potentially a launch in either mid or late May. So the current rumor is a May 18th date. Video Cards points out that this might just be the official announcement for the card. We think that's the most likely rather than a launch, just because AMD will have a keynote during Computex around that time, and it doesn't make sense to us that they launch it before that keynote, but who knows. The publication also suggests that the 9060 XT will use AMD's Navi 44 GPU and will have 2048 stream processors. The site also mentions that the card is expected to have 8GB and 16GB variants. We've seen other rumors that an 8GB 9060 XT model may get canceled, but these are all just rumors for right now. In related news, the AMD 9070 GRE has pre-orders up in China at $575 MSRP after converting the currency. Early coverage indicates a possible 6% improvement on the 7900 GRE. The specs, put together by Tom's Hardware, show a 3072 stream processor count and 12GB GDDR6 capacity on a 192-bit bus. Up next, according to a Bloomberg source, Intel is looking to lay off 20% of its workforce. Again, the publication wrote, quote, "The move is part of a bid to streamline management and rebuild an engineering-driven culture," end quote. And this matches with what Intel's new CEO wrote recently. While Intel is no stranger to layoffs, having laid off roughly 15,000 jobs last year, this will be the first mass layoff under Intel's new chief executive officer, Lip-Bu Tan, who became the company's CEO in March. Bloomberg reports that Intel has had, quote, 3 straight years of sales declines, unquote. The publication also noted that the company had 108,900 employees as of late last year. Laying off 20% of those would amount to over 21,000 people. Last year, the rumored numbers were in the 15 to 20,000 range, and there's this new 20% number on top of that. Up next, like with the GPU paper launches, the Nintendo Switch 2 is up on the list, and this was originally scheduled for pre-orders in the US at least on April 9th, and then that was delayed until the 24th, with Nintendo citing tariffs. The pre-order launch was a mess. As soon as pre-orders opened up, they quickly became unavailable through many retailers. IGN reported that Best Buy's pre-orders didn't go live on time, with the company's site saying "coming soon" for roughly half an hour before allowing people to queue in. Other people reportedly were blocked from moving forward with pre-orders due to nebulous bank fraud alerts. A user on Reddit said their Switch 2 pre-order got canceled 10 minutes after they placed their order, which sounds similar to what we dealt with the GPU orders. Even the situation in Japan was rough enough that it prompted Nintendo's president to apologize on Twitter, writing in a post, which has been translated, quote, "On April 2nd, we announced details about the Nintendo Switch 2 and started accepting applications for the lottery sale on the Nintendo Store. As a result, we received an extremely large number of applications, approximately 2.2 million people in Japan alone. However, this number far exceeds our expectations and far exceeds the number of Nintendo Switch 2 consoles that can be delivered from the Nintendo Store on June 5th. Therefore, unfortunately, we expect that a significant number of customers will not be selected when the winners are announced." And he added, quote, "We deeply apologize for not being able to meet your expectations despite our prior preparations," end quote. Now, we obtained footage of Nintendo apologizing. It's exclusive. We'll put it on the screen now. Take a look. That's actually from Nintendo headquarters. Speaking of the Switch 2, a user on Twitter got hold of one and did a disassembly before the post was taken down. The post was made by Colonel Salt on Twitter with the teardown, and the information was caught by notebookcheck.net, with the publication writing, "The Nintendo Switch uses NVIDIA's Tegra T239 SoC. It comes with an ARM Cortex-X1 core, 3 Cortex-A78 cores, and 4 A55 cores, combined with a custom Ampere-based GPU. Next to it, we can see what appear to be 2 LPDDR modules." The publication continued to say, quote, "It also shows a 256GB UFS 3.1 module from SK Hynix and what could be a Wi-Fi chip from MediaTek," end quote. And finally, some good news, probably, for most of you, as soon as they fix the bugs anyway. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion got remastered, and it was kind of a surprise launch. So after the leaks, we'll go with, they basically immediately posted a trailer and announced the availability of the game now, which was different in a kind of cool way. So nearly 20 years after the original Oblivion, which feels bad to say, I bought it when it launched, the remaster was developed by Virtuos and offers enhanced visuals by the way of Unreal Engine 5. And fun fact, most of you by which I mean like 99% of you don't know that I actually interviewed the former lead designer for Morrowind and Oblivion in 2014. Most of you don't know that because I didn't know that, because I'd forgotten. And also only 18,000 people watched it because it was that long ago. So that was Ken Rolston I interviewed. I have not rewatched the interview. It's probably not very good, mostly because I probably wasn't very good at it back then, and I don't want to see it. But if you want to see it, it's on the channel. It's just, it's too painful for me. We've hopefully improved a lot. Anyway, Morrowind in particular formed a lot of my early favorite RPG memories. The game was excellent. I played RPGs before that, but that one in particular was really good. And Oblivion Remastered I'll probably check out because I did play Oblivion. And test games in general have always been more about the modding side for me personally, so I'm looking forward to that as mods re-enter the fray. It's been long enough since I played Oblivion that it'll be fun again. But during the game's announcement, Virtuos executive producer Alex Murphy elaborated, quote, "We think of the Oblivion game engine as the brain and Unreal 5 as the body. The brain drives all the world logic and gameplay, and the body brings to life the experience that players have loved for almost 20 years, end quote. The remastered edition comes with new character models and landscapes, with Virtuos art director Iago Perez stating, quote, "Every single asset in this game was completely redesigned and handcrafted from scratch," end quote. Improvements have also been made to the game's melee combat, UI, audio, lip sync tech, and additional lines of dialogue were recorded. Unlike the 2006 version, the game adds sprinting and changes the leveling system to be a hybrid of Oblivion and Skyrim. Virtuos also remastered Oblivion's add-ons, though. The game's notorious horse armor, which arguably started the DLC trend, is locked behind the deluxe edition of the game, which costs $10 more. Also, the game has new character customization options, which players are using to create nightmare fuel. And when Wendell was visiting, it was actually like right around when this launched, so we were talking about wanting to play it. So I'll probably try to find some time. I don't know. I remember when Oblivion came out and I was very disappointed because I liked it at first, but the world felt so samey compared to Morrowind. I think people who were Oblivion fans and played that first maybe felt similarly about parts of Skyrim. But then you look back on it, it's like, it's a pretty good game actually. So anyway, I'll get back into it, hopefully with some mods. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more. Go to store.gamersnexus.net to support us directly, or patreon.com/gamersnexus if you want to help us there as well. We just posted an update for some of the stuff we're working on over on Patreon. And we'll see you all next time.